Hi, Algebra 2 students. This week we are going to be working with systems of linear equations. Everything we do this week should be reviewed from Algebra 1. I do realize that was a couple of years ago, so the review is necessary. But this is a topic I really like because there are a lot of real-world situations that are actually relevant and real. They're not just trivial ones made for a math book. And also, I just like solving equations. Call me the cool kid in the room. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. So first of all, what is a system of equations? It's a set of two or more equations containing two or more variables. You can see an example of a system of linear equations right here. All right, the solution to a system of equations is the point where the lines meet, the intersection point. So we can see that very clearly by looking at the graph, what the solution is. I can see that those two lines cross at the point 4, 0. I can also see that in the table. So if I make a table of values for each equation, I can see that both of them have the ordered pair 4, 0 in their table. That means that is a solution to the system of equations. Now, that's pretty easy, pretty basic. In this class, we're going to focus our time on reviewing and practicing and solving systems of equations using algebraic methods. We have two methods that we use. We'll go through substitution, the first one in this video, and in the second video, we'll talk about elimination. So, substitution is one way to algebraically solve a system of linear equations. What you do is first, solve one equation for a variable. So that means one of your equations has to say x equals or y equals. So you have solved for a variable. Then you are going to substitute that expression into the other equation. You'll solve for one of your variables. You'll substitute that variable back into one of the originals and find the other one. Because remember, every answer is an ordered pair. You will need to know what the x variable is and what the y variable is. Let's try a few together. Our first one is right here, example A. And what we need to solve a system by substitution is one of the equations needs to say x equals or y equals. And if it doesn't, we have to manipulate it so it does. If I look at this first one, I notice it already says y equals. This one is set up for substitution. It is the best method to use in this case. So since y equals x minus 1, what we are going to do is we are going to take that x minus 1 and we are going to drop it into y's spot because it is equal to y. Now I'm going to rewrite this. X plus, and again what I'm putting in y spot is x minus 1 equals 7. Now the advantage of having this is I only have x's in my equation. Now I can solve it. I'm going to start by combining my like terms. I have 2 x's minus 1 equals 7. Add 1 to both sides. 2x equals 8. And now we'll have x equals 4. So now I need to take that x equals 4 and I need to substitute it back into one of my first two equations. The point of substituting it back in is so I can figure out what y equals. So before I choose which one, let's take a look at both of them. Which equation is set up to tell me what y equals very quickly? Yeah, it's the first one. Now I could choose the second one and then do some solving. That's fine, but why not make my life easy? So I'm going to take this first equation and find what y equals, because in x's place I'm going to put the 4 that I came up with down here, minus 1 equals 3. So now I know that y equals 3 and x equals 4. What I did now is I showed all of my work. Now I need to give the answer. The answer is the ordered pair, 4, 3. All of your solutions should be an ordered pair and should look like the answer that I boxed on the right. All right, let's try another one. The directions still say use substitution, but neither one of them is starting with an x equals or y equals. So I'm going to have to do some solving to make that happen. Look at your first equation and your second equation. Which one do you think will be easier to make it say x equals or y equals? Yeah, the first one, because we have just one x in it. All I have to do to make this equation be just x equals, I've got my 2y plus x equals 4, is just subtract 2y from each side. So x is equal to 4 minus 2y. Now I can take what x equals and drop it in for the x in the other equation. So let's write that out. I'll have a 3, and then instead of x, I'm going to put in that 4 minus 2y minus 4y equals 7. Now before I can combine my like terms, I'm going to have to use the distributive property to simplify. 12 minus 6y minus 4y equals 7. Now I can combine my like terms. Notice this is a negative 6y minus a 4y. That would be negative 10y. Now it's the easy solving of algebra 1. I'm going to come over here. I'll have negative 10y equals 7 minus 12 is negative 5. Divide both sides by negative 10. Y is equal to positive half. So that was a lot of work. Okay, look at all that purple at the bottom of the screen. But am I done? No, I'm not. Because I know what y is, I need to know what x is. So I can go back and use this equation right here, the one that I used for my substitution. But I always think it's best practice to go back and use one of your original equations. So I'm going to choose the top one. That one I think will be the least amount of work. So I am going to use this top equation. I'm going to put half in y spot and solve for x. I'm going to need more space to do that. I think I can squeeze it in the space between pages here. So 2 times a half plus x equals 4. Half of 2 is 1. 1 plus x equals 4. Okay, we can see now x is equal to 3. Now I can write my ordered pair. 3, oops, I started writing x, half. Okay. Now before we go on to elimination in our next video, I want to pause a moment and talk about how to check your answers. So we just got a solution of 3 half. There's 2 ways you could check your answers. One is you could graph your 2 lines, and then you could verify by looking at the graph that that's where they cross. But we're working with algebraic methods. That's our main focus this week. So the algebraic way to test to see if 3 and 1/2 is the correct solution is to take that ordered pair and substitute it back in to both of these equations. If it is the correct equation, both will come out to be true. So let's just check this one. So I'm going to substitute 3 in for x and half in for y. So 2 times 1/2 plus 3 equals 4. Half of 2 is 1. Is 1 plus 3 equal to 4? Yes, it is. It's a true statement. Okay, so that means 1/2 is correct for that one. Let me go where you can see a little bit better. All right, let's check the next equation. So 3, remember my x value is 3, minus 4 times y was 1/2 equals 7. 3 times 3 is 9. Half of 4 is 2. Is 9 minus 2 equal to 7? Yes. I substituted that point, 3, 1/2, into both of the equations, and both came out to be true. So now I have just checked my work and I have justified that 3, 1/2 is indeed the correct answer. All right, we're going to take a pause here. You can watch part 2 and we'll talk about elimination.